Wait.
Okay. This is a meeting of Al-Nahda Boys School, mixed both boys school and girls school, regarding transportation, which is a very, very critical issue, a very big problem. We're talking about an international school with international drivers. We're talking about language gaps. We're talking about organization. We're talking about government interfering. And nowadays, all the buses are run by the government instead of, each school individually. I will summarize the outcomes and the results of the meetings as soon as this assembly is over. Now, this meeting is gathering all the bus drivers with their escorts and those people that are in charge of the transportation at Al-Nahda.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Thank you for coming on a Saturday morning. I know it's your day off, but as you know, the girls' school and the boys' school is having, Al-Nahda Boys and Al-Nahda Girls' School is having problems. Yes, please come inside the meeting, come inside. We're having problems with the buses, the transportation. This is impacting the image of the school, but first and foremost, it's impacting the safety and security of our students. Parents' perceptions are that we as a school and Emirates Transport as the new transportation company is not doing the best job to keep their children safe. I know and you know that all of you have been trained drivers, all of you are trained escorts, you have licenses to do your job. We also know that Abu Dhabi is a huge, huge place on a very tiny island with lots of people living, and our buses are large this year. Therefore, it's difficult to go between the buses, the buildings, maybe not to drop the children off at the door. However, Abu Dhabi education law states that a child cannot be dropped off in the street. The child must be dropped off in front of the parent's door. Mr. Mundar, I want you to give this man a round of applause, please. Please, let's clap for Mr. Mundar. Really big clap for Mundar. You can't imagine, or maybe you can imagine a little bit, because maybe the parents have been complaining to you, but only your set of parents, your 25 parents, your 30 parents. He's had 2,000 parents complaining to him, and he's still smiling, right? So we really want to keep this positive note that we're going on. This is a transition from what the school had. This is the very first time Al-Nahda Boys or Al-Nahda Girls has had a problem with transportation. And it does, because it's a new system, new routes, new buses. Parents aren't used to dealing with deadlines, and they missed the August 22nd deadline to register for their students for buses. So of course now they're upset that why isn't my child on a bus? I have to give credit where credit is due. Emirates Transport is trying very hard to make sure that they are getting buses in place as fast as possible. And we as a school also have put our own 10 buses back into, 10 of our buses back into action to try to meet the demand of the students. Here today I have Mr. Mundar, who all of you know. He's from Emirates Transport. I have Mr. Abdulnaser Zaher, who is from Mr. Adnan's representative today. Ms. Eva Feeney, who is our EHS officer. And we have Ms. Joy. Joy, please come here. Joy, come here. Joy, of course, works for the schools. So she is your liaison between Emirates Transportation and us, Al-Nahda School.
Okay, good morning everybody. As Sandra said, I'm the EHS officer here at the school. I also work in the boys' school, but because things were so busy this week, I actually didn't get a chance to get over there. So normally I'm 2 days in the boys' school and 3 days here. So for those of you working in the boys' school, you can also find me over there on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay, so just a few points that you need to be aware of when you're, say, boarding the students in the morning, when you're collecting them in the morning. You must make sure that every student is wearing their seatbelt. You must also ensure that they're wearing them correctly. You need to adjust the strap so that it comes down to just above their shoulder. If they're a young student and it's going across the neck and the bus breaks, it's going to hurt the student or possibly worse. And obviously, the bit that's supposed to go across the front, make sure it's going across the front and not behind the student's back. For those of you who are collecting KG students who are under 4 and who have a seat available for them, you must make sure that you put the students into the seat. You must also make sure that that child's seat is the correct size for the student. If the seat is too small, let the parent know that they must buy a seat that is the appropriate size for their son or daughter. Another point then is you need to make sure that all of the students are sitting down at all times while the bus is moving. When the bus is moving, nobody on the bus should be standing. Everybody, including the escorts, needs to be sitting down. So tomorrow when you get the updated list for your KG students, please ensure that you have all of your students before we leave the bottom gym down here, okay, as we have done. Tomorrow, what we will do is we will have one of the KG supervisors wait at the gym hall, okay? We will have one person wait at gate 2, and one person will tell us when the bus arrives. As we've done before, we are adding an extra person at the KG gym because we had the case where some students were mixing in their lines, and as you know, the KG students, they don't know their bus number. So when we call in the gym, you will come out. When you get as far as the gate, we will tell you where the bus is parked. And also to make sure again that all of the KG students are wearing their seatbelts, and the KG students under 4 are in their car seat, and again, adjusted. Moving on then to the 2 o'clock dismissal time. Please be aware that nobody under the age of 11, that could be up to grade 6, okay, is allowed to leave the bus without a guardian. Okay, mother, father, aunt, uncle, their nanny, their driver, whoever is collecting them, okay? But under 11, they cannot leave the bus without a guardian. They can also not get off the bus with their older sibling unless that sibling is 18 or above.
That's a law that's by the Department of Transportation, Abu Dhabi Educational Council, and Abu Dhabi Police. Anybody who's 11 years old or under is not allowed to get off the bus with an older sibling, unless the older sibling is 18, and they must have an identified person with your buses. You know, you have a file for every child. They should have who is going to be identified person to take that child off the bus. 11 years old and under, which could be 6th grade, and sometimes it could be even 7th grade. So you need to, we will have an undertaking, which is from the Department of Transportation. It says this is your responsibility as a parent to ensure that there's somebody at the bottom waiting to receive your child, if they're 11 years old or under, and then also that their children will follow the rules and regulations of the bus, also that the child will listen to the bus driver and the bus escort, and also that they do not have the right to raise their voice, to curse anyone, and that they will be held responsible for them once they sign that line. The students also will sign that from grades 7 and above. They will sign it. The younger students, their parents will only sign it. The students and parents will sign it from grades 7 to 12. Say regulation, and we need to say compliance. I really want you to give a good round of applause. We'll do questions and answers in a minute. Mr. Mother and Mrs. Joy and Mrs. Eva, every day, and you yourself. Give a good round of applause for yourselves, because you yourselves also have been listening to parents. You've been under pressure. So really thank you very much for the first week. Trust me, that's not enough, because I know that parents, it's hot out here. For God's sake, it's 105 degrees outside. It's so very hot, and you're standing out there and you're doing a wonderful job. There's a lot of pressure. I just need you to continue on that way, so we know the health and safety of our students as priority. I'm actually going to have Mr. Abdulnaser. I'll do questions in a moment. I'm going to have Mr. Abdulnaser Zaher to mention about the Lamar University research about attendance and the impact that the buses will have on attendance at school.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. I'm not representing Al-Nahda National Schools, I'm just participating on behalf of my research and student attendance. Two important issues that have been discussed so far with everybody, which is has to do with bus management. The two issues are the timing and the safety. Timing and safety have a great impact on student attendance, and the student attendance will actually affect the performance and the academic achievement of all students. So two important issues, which is your part, take care of it, be careful with it, okay, and make it a priority. Again, two priorities, timing and safety for all the students. Thank you so much.
Okay, and I want you to realize that you're part of this research and we appreciate you. Every day that a kid comes to school, we have to have 96% or better of students that come to school, and we don't need any chronic absenteeism or chronic tardies because of the bus issues. And I know for a fact, once the buses get straight, they're probably about the beginning of next week, we'll say, phew, wasn't that fun 2 weeks? We're ready to roll. I'm sure that's going to happen. I need to turn this back over to Mrs. Joy. She has a couple of points that she wants to make, and then I'm going to ask you to please have some juice if you haven't already had. And of course, then Mr. Munzer will take the drivers because you're going to get your due lists, and you're going to practice going to the families' homes to drop off the children. So I know that you have questions also. We'll entertain the questions just as soon as Ms. Joy finishes. Wait, first of all, Image Transport has a job. All right? So let's wait, okay? Anything about kindergarten and your duties or whatever, we'll solve without all of these other people here. So there's no need to scream and shout. Wait. We're trying to help you because they're coming also and bringing the kids to the bus. They're going to help you, don't worry. Our safety for the kids is most important. In our department, we have 36 classrooms, there are 37 buses. And we've already got someone else to make sure that we have 37 people from Al-Nahda School to assist those children going on the bus, okay? You're not going to be left alone, trust me. We work together. They will always collect the children, they will always, but they will not always bring them to you to the gym. Once everything gets smoother out, you will go to the classroom because they work in the classrooms, and you know that because you're here every day. You know that. Wait, just wait, please. Okay? You guys will go to the classroom, and they will walk with you to those buses with those children. You will not be by yourself. Okay? Access to myself, Ms. Ifa, Ms. Helen, Ms. Afrah, and the KGs. So we're all going to work together to find a solution for this. So what if your log that he's coming late? Because when parents, I'm going to call his parents and tell them he's coming late every day. He and his sister both, and she's in grade 11. Because those two students are delaying the departure of her bus, which means that when she sees the other 20 kids on the bus, their parents are angry because they think the bus is late. So if your child is late coming from class, you need to write that down. If they're late coming from their house, you need to write that down. Because that impacts your whole entire route, and impacts the mood of the parents, and impacts your day, right? So we want to make sure we document everything so that we can work together as a school to make sure that our students are safely delivered from their homes to the school and from the school to their homes. And I know that if we all work together and smile, because that's the most important part of the day. If you smile, someone will smile back. But if you do this, somebody's going to do this, right? Like, let's suppose Mother is the bus driver, right? And Joy is the bus escort, right? And I'm a parent in the morning time and the afternoon. Joy opens the door for me. Why is my child late? Why is my child late? And if Joy, she goes, right? Like she just did. Then the parents are automatically going to eat her some more. Why is it Mother? And she said, excuse me, I'm really sorry to be here, but there was traffic. Here's the number for Mrs. Sandra, the director of the school. Here's the number for the bus transportation. Please contact them. We have a nice day. And take the child and go. Even if the parent is screaming and shouting, if she's calm and she's smiling and she hands them something, believe me, she goes, right? The same thing with the driver. Never give the driver the phone. If a parent's talking to you because the driver is driving, he cannot talk on the phone and drive. The parents, if they come banging on the window, bam, 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 bam on the window, the driver's going to open the window. Good morning, you know, can I help you? Good afternoon, yes. And if he says, here's Miss Saunders or Mr. Edmonds' number, I have to drive, thank you, close the door. They can't say nothing, right? They can say nothing. And you've addressed the issue in a nice, calm, polite way, even though the parents can be very upset because he's hot or she's hot, the kids are late. So we need to make sure that we understand parents are under pressure too, because they want to make sure that their kids are safe, and then they're standing in the heat waiting for the bus maybe 5 minutes, maybe 2 hours sometimes. So by the time you get to them, they're like, and you can easily solve that by just being calm. Don't use your hands, okay? Because hands are considered aggression. Just you're open. Hi, good morning, good afternoon. You can step back. Sorry, you're not allowed. Parents are not allowed on the bus. We know that, right? Parents, how can not allowed on the bus? If they try to get on the bus, say, I'm very sorry. You step forward. Say, I'm very sorry. Don't put your hand on them. Very sorry, you're not allowed on the bus. Here's Ms. Sandra's number. Here's Mr. Adnan's number. Here's Ms. Helen's number. Here's Mr. Deepa. Here's Mr. Muhammad Ramadan. Mr. Ahmed. Mr. Mantha. Because it'll be on the same sheet. Please contact the school. Right? And then you can write down Muhammad at Muhammad bin Zayed City or wherever it is, villa number 5. Parents wanted to get on the bus or wanted to talk to the school. I gave them the card. That way we have all the documentation in place. When you come back to school, you can give it to us, and then if we can call the parents and say, yes, do you have a problem? And then it's being proactive instead of reactive. That's what the message I want to give the parents. Yes.
जब आप बच्चे उतारते हैं या पिक करते हैं मॉर्निंग टाइम में या नून टाइम में, तो कभी लेट हो जाते हैं। इस दिनों में तो स्पेशली लेट हो जाते हैं, कभी जल्दी जाते हैं, तो पेरेंट्स जो है ना वो गुस्सा होते हैं, वालिदैन गुस्सा होते हैं कि भाई क्यों आया, कैसे आया। तो जब ड्राइवर की एक तो ये कि मुशरिक जो है वो ड्राइवर को मोबाइल नहीं देगा बात करने के लिए। ड्राइवर का काम नहीं है बात करना, वो है बस कंडक्टर का काम है, बस मुशरिक का काम बात करना। पहले तो यही है। दूसरी बात ये कि अगर पेरेंट्स आए ड्राइवर पे शाउटिंग करें, वो विंडो जो है ना वो खटखटाएं, भाई क्या बात, सलाम वालेकुम, भाई क्या बोले, क्यों लेट हो गए, भाई ये मुश्किल था, ये मसला है, इस वजह से लेट हुए, स्टोरी बस ये वो कुछ बात करेगा, बस विंडो ओपन करो, मेरा काम नहीं है बात कॉन्ट्रैक्टर से करो। वो अगर कॉन्ट्रैक्टर के पास जाएगा, मुशरिफ के पास जाएगा, मुशरिफ ये नहीं कि उसको साथ गुस्सा हो जाएगा, कोई बात करेगा, बस आराम से भाई स्टोरी ये मसला है, इस वजह से हम लोग लेट हो गए। यही बात है, वो पेरेंट्स के साथ गुस्सा नहीं होना, बस आराम से बात करना। अगर फिर भी कोई वो लोग ज्यादा बात करते हैं, उसको बोलो भाई ये संद्रा का नंबर है, ये प्रिंसिपल का नंबर है, ये स्कूल का नंबर है, आप उनके साथ कॉन्टेक्ट कर सकते हैं।
Evelyn, we can, Evelyn.
So, Mr. Munder, about the Emirates transportation issues that we had all of last week, what is the solution for the Boys and Girls School for Amaka? What did we find? Because we cannot keep the parents that were, you know what they did to the shopping that they did to you, the shopping that they did to the drivers, the shopping they did to the escorts, the shopping they did to the school. You've seen Facebook, you've seen Twitter. This is, and I've already responded to 2 official Abu Dhabi government complaints because of parents stating that the school is at fault, we're negligent. We didn't have the children on the bus. We chose Emirates Transport because it was the Abu Dhabi government transportation, Emirates Transportation recommended by ADIC, we're under contract. We know also that the registration issue from the parents, not being that that's our fault, that's the parents' fault, but the drivers leaving the bus in the middle of the street, the drivers bringing the kids back, that's not our fault.
Yeah.
So what is our solution?
We find a solution. Last night we was in office meeting on this issue. For the KGs, who bring in the morning with students for KGs, they will drop on the KGs. All buses will go on their way, so they can come early and they have no any problem to find the home. They can drop them directly. Who bring the morning, they will drop. All the buses are same.
Okay.
But I have some 85 children until Thursday, 85. Just those we will divide on those buses who is going on their ways.
So those 85 children are 85 KG children or 85?
Just KG, yeah.
Okay, so you're going to divide them on the buses that are already there. Now, that means that you're going to put them at the closest route to their home,
Yes,
correct?
the closest.
Okay, because you know that there's an hour and a half law from the time the first child is dropped off until the first child is picked up in the morning to get to school. It should be less than an hour and a half, and the vice versa. After school, from the time to the last child is dropped off, it should be less than an hour and a half on the bus ride. How the parents are eating us alive because they're 3 hours on a bus, 2.5 hours on a bus. Have you had your drivers go and actually drive the routes again? No.
Now all the drivers is here, so we are in one zone. They are going two buses, so we are solving all these problems today. And now they have all bring their own buses. So the driver and buses.
There's only like 6 buses outside. We're supposed to have 80 buses if that's the case.
Abu Dhabi Zibaniya School Hamuda, there is parking.
Okay, so you parked all the way down.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But I have a question. I mean, based on the plan of MS
And you-
transportation.
Please.
Anyway, for me, I'm Abdulnaser Zaher. For me, this is actually some kind of an observation. I'm taking a course with Lamar University, EDLD, right now 5397. I'm representing Adnan Abbas, my mentor at Al-Nahda Boys School. He is the principal of Al-Nahda Boys School. Now, participating in this meeting about school transportation and buses and all the problems and the commotion that happened regarding the kick-off of the year actually should have been resolved in a different way. Now, the thing is, new drivers, new buses, okay, new routes, okay, they should have had a practice, maybe a week, 2 weeks ahead of time, went through all the routes, each individually drove it, made sure where the drop-off is, and measured the time, because like she said, you're limited by what? By 1 hour and a half, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And this is exactly what you have to think of in terms of children. I'm not talking about the boys' school, but what you get my attention about the KG, the little children. Can you imagine a child, okay, even up to 10 years old, being cooped up in a bus for more than even half an hour? They go crazy, and this is a small city. So, you all have to take this into consideration. Am I,
No, we're both aware of that. There are several factors at play here. First of all, they did their job, due diligence. I have to say, this man, Mr. Munzer, he did his job, so that whenever you do your report, you can actually give it correctly. He did his job. Image Transport did their job up to a point, because the parents have to register for the bus before he can put them on a bus, right, Monday? If they don't register, and they didn't follow the instructions by making sure they met the August 22nd deadline, which was the registration deadline. So, because they're on holiday or for whatever reason, for all of the ones that he had the names of, he put them on a route. Fair enough. They did their due diligence job. The problem is the parents came back after the 22nd. Some of them didn't come back until the first day of school, which was the 25th, and said, hello, I want to get on a bus. And that's where the problem really caused. It really was impacted. And he's only one person also. You can't expect as large of a number of students that we have on the bus. It's going to be now almost 2,000 students on the bus, right? Between both schools?
No, in both schools, yeah.
In both schools. It'll be almost 2,000 students. And he's the only person who's really trying to solve the problem from the Abu Dhabi government image transport. That's one of the problems. The other problem is the registration issue. We are to the point now where we're just taking registration without them paying for the bus. It's a private bus. It's a private school. We just let them register and then they'll pay later, because they came back assuming that all the buses would be lined up and they could go quickly. So partly parent problem. I would say 85% parent problem, and a divided 7.5% school and immigrant transportation problem. That's what I would say if I were to just be truthful. Our problem is registration. And because the parents didn't register and we didn't give them the number, that means that they didn't have the right number of buses. But I have to say also, Emirates Transportation, they have been, their dadgummedness to get the buses on time. They've given us buses every day. They really did a good job, but we still have a problem that's overlapping between what is reality, how many buses we have, who has and who has not registered, and the main point, drivers have not run the routes. They didn't run the routes. He gave them the option to run the routes. Even last week, I told him, on Sunday, I told him, your drivers don't know. 2 of the drivers said they hadn't ever been on the route. Mr. Munda gave them the freedom to go 2 or 3 times. The buses are so huge, though. That's another problem we have to face, Munda. You know, the 32-seaters are huger than the 24-seaters. The 32-seaters get in between the traffic and the cars in those little buildings. What is the solution that you found for, like, if I can't get my bus into this parking, what is the solution that you found?
This bus is a little big.
Right.
It cannot move inside the buildings, especially in Khaldias. There is some congested places. So the rules is that if the bus cannot move inside, the parents should be where can move the bus. So until there, the parents will come and they will collect the students, and the bus can collect.
But have the parents been informed of this? Because whenever we did the bus route ourselves, and we owned our own buses last year,
Yeah.
all right, and even when they had private buses, Set Stars, Taj, whatever, they actually dropped them off exactly in front of the door
Yes.
because the buses were smaller.
That was
But
possible.
the parents have not been told that. I haven't expressed that to the parents. The parents know that they'll be dropped off door to door, just like attic regulations say. Attic regulations say the kids cannot walk across the parking lot. So if you're here on the main street, the kids still have to walk across the parking lot, a road, a side road, a slip road, to make sure that the what do you call that? That the kids are safe across. The parents have to come there, sah. Truly, they do. But how did the parents know that? We haven't communicated that. Have you?
The driver will told them, and he will give them the exactly point.
Do you want some coffee or anything?
Thank you.
The problem there is the driver doesn't speak English or Arabic well enough. Or maybe he does, but the father and mother also are not English. And so they can't understand exactly what they're saying. So
Okay,
we need to have, yes.
I raise 2 questions. With respect to Emirates Transportation,
Miss Ifa?
whenever they hire those drivers, have they been given training and orientation about?
Are you busy? You want to join our meeting? This is, we're talking about.
All students have, all drivers have the, and also bus sports have the presentations, they have training, DJ and everything.
Good, because dealing with kids is different from dealing with adults. So they got the training to do.
Yes, sir, everything they have.
There's one thing else also, when we're talking about the training, that I had asked Mr. Khalid Bakr,
Yes, sir.
okay. I told him, I asked him if the drivers had been trained. He said yes. If the escorts have been trained, he said yes. And I also asked him, can I see this? Because we have to have this on copy. I don't have this on file. Did they give this to you?
No.
As the, am I right?
Yeah, we should have copies of what they've been trained on.
Last year, whenever I was dealing with our own buses, for every bus I have a file. I have the file of the driver, the driver of the escort. I have the bus information registration. Then I also have the layout of where the children are seating. You know, the chart, the plan that has to be there. And I also had any complaints, any accidents, any risks that had happened on that bus. It was all logged. And then, of course, for every bus, we have an attendance log in the morning to give to the attendance supervisor here, so that we know if a child is absent. That also has to be coordinated with the heads of section and the different sections of the school, K through 12, to make sure if this child who is absent came to school, that the bus driver knows this child is at school. So it changes. So if he's absent in the morning time, but he may come to school because he's late, then he'll go back home on the bus. We have all of this as a system, but I haven't seen any system from Emirates Transport. And I have this, we can show you what we had from last year.
Yes, madam.
Because we have to have this on file, because if I'm held liable before Abu Dhabi government, before Abu Dhabi Transportation, before Abu Dhabi Police, before Abu Dhabi Education Council, myself, the boys' school is the same way. Not the boys' school must have the same documentation on file, and we don't have it on file. And we should have had it from the first day that buses ran. Even if we didn't have complete names of the students that would ride those buses, we should have at least started. So something I would like for you to work on this week is for the boys' school and the girls' school documentation. Miss Ifa, you're the head of EHS for both schools, the officer. So I need you to follow this up and make sure. Mr. Adnan is not here today because, you know, his daughter got married last night.
Oh, it was last night?
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
So he's not here
Okay.
today. But we need to make sure that both the boys' school and the girls' school have the same representation.
Yeah, no problem.
And documentation actually will save you that. Okay. That means you'll have everything on file. Also, in case of anything goes wrong, you'll be able to
week
present
covers
something.
from all
there
sides,
is
yeah.
each and everything. Bus registration, bus drivers, visa license, each and everything, documentation copies, the work permit, and
No, no, not that. Even like
also
my advice is to make some kind of a log or a daily log of what what goes on. In case anything goes wrong in any bus, you'll have something that you can present. Otherwise, in case of an investigation, in case of
Yeah, exactly.
we're talking about buses with boys, okay, and something might
Well,
that's what documentation. We're not talking about their permits. We're not talking about their license. This is this is also this been done on your side.
well, that's the beauty of going into the immigrant transportation contract, is that we know that they're responsible, that they have done these kind of things. I don't have to second guess myself. Abu Dhabi government is involved, so we know it's happened. I just need the documentation on file. But I need also them to be trained a bit better. We have had issues where last week the escorts actually let children off the bus because the bus drivers weren't on the bus. I need the bus drivers, once the first child gets on that bus after, when they're coming here to pick up after school, they cannot get off the bus, period. They have to stay on that bus. Once the child gets there, they have to stay on the bus, because last week I myself put girls back on bus. We lost one, that we had lost one child from one bus to the other, remember, on Thursday, because he got off the bus. Our school escort put him on the bus, he got off the bus and went over with his friend or wherever. But we can't have that happen, because thank God, we found it. We solved the problem before the parents knew, so we could call. Otherwise, it would have been huge issue. I also had an email from, I didn't have it. One of the parents sent an attic complaint stating that our school is negligent as al-Warud, and that anything could happen, and that this administration, the school administration, and the bus needed to have a full investigation. I sent back an email to ADIC stating that I do not agree that a parent should consider my school negligent, because no other school does a director, deputy director, head of EHS, the educational affairs director, the heads of sections, the teachers that are on duty. Our own EHS safety team is in the street in the morning and in the afternoon, all through the school. And the email clearly stated that the child was in the class safely with the parent, with the teacher, until the parent arrived. So the issue wasn't that there wasn't safety in the school. The issue was that there was no safety on the buses, or the parents' perception that there's no safety on the buses. That has to change. I should not have finished, and Adnan should not have finished his first week with parents writing Facebook, Twitter, social media, Abu Dhabi government, had a complaint that we have a problem with buses. This is the first year, and we are the oldest school here in the United Arab Emirates in Abu Dhabi. We are the oldest. We were the very first purpose-built private school, and we've never had this on our problems. This is a huge image problem for us now, and also for you. We don't want this to be an image problem. We want to find solutions. No blame game. Solutions. We're already in it. We need to continue forward to the best of both schools and the students. So what I need really and truly is I need to have something solid for both schools, that the plan is there. The kindergarten, you said, the same bus drivers will take them home. We did that as well. It works. If it helps you, our 10 buses that we have, how many buses do we have run for kindergarten? How many
15,
buses
I
run
think.
for kindergarten?
for the
For
boy-
kindergarten only.
In the evening.
Kindergarten only in the afternoon.
12 o'clock time.
No.
15 is
and
it?
How many
no, 19.
numbers?
19 until
19.
Thursday.
Okay.
But from tomorrow all. From tomorrow all.
You're going to sit all the buses
All
out?
the buses. From tomorrow all will go 12 o'clock.
Sorry?
Okay.
How many will these?
How many buses do we have till now in the girls' school?
37 buses.
37. Still just 37?
Yes.
And what about the 10 from Al-Nahda?
From tomorrow we'll edit 3 buses more.
So we'll have 41
40,
buses at the girls'
40.
school? 40 buses at the girls' school?
Yeah, one from Mohammed bin Zayed city
Uh,
and 2 inside the Abu Dhabi.
okay, and that's above the 10 from Al-Nahda. So we'll have basically 50 buses here,
Yes, 50 buses recently.
only at the girls' school.
No, on their school. I don't know how much, but from Sunday, from tomorrow, we are adding 3 buses more.
Okay.
Like 40. Maybe come new buses more.
Now, my question to you is, you said to me just now that you're going to have 40 buses running. Well, Mohammed bin Zayed, no. So you'll have 39 buses running inside the city of Abu Dhabi for kindergarten at 12 o'clock, leaving at 11:30.
Yes.
Have those drivers run the routes?
They will run there because we are dividing the routes. Which bus from which bus?
So when are they going to run the routes?
Today.
Okay, good.
Yes, after
So
the
that means
meeting,
tomorrow, immediately.
inshallah.
So after that, have you calculated the time to come back to school? Because you know they have to be back here to park at least by 1:15. Is that going to work with the plan that you've made for the Emirates transport?
This was an issue
Yeah.
the last few days, Wednesday, Thursday, that there was lots of students coming out. And the bus wasn't back yet, and they're maybe waiting a half an hour for the bus to come back.
So
As Sandra said.
No
yeah.
problem. Sunday, no problem.
Okay.
Sunday.
I
They
hope-
have all buses have 5, 6, 7 children per kgs. So they will drop quickly and they will come back soon.
okay. So inshallah we solve the KG problem tomorrow.
KG problem completely, sir.
Okay.
KG don't have any.
And then you have on the 2 o'clock release time at home. What's the solution there?
For 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock also today we are working on it. Today after
Mhm.
this meeting we are working on these things. We yesterday also evening time we meeting on this with Mr. Khalid.
Mm.
So we are solving today these problems.
What did Mr. Khalid say? What was he discussing with you guys?
Yes, because this especially the zones, we are dividing the zones. One place, one area going 2 buses. So we are solving these problems. This one area, 1 bus is go. So he will come collect all the students from one area, from one zone.
Yeah.
So he can come quickly.
Good.
That's
Yeah.
great.
That's a-
Yeah,
that's a really good
very
solution.
Yeah.
I think, bravo, I think that's a common, really good one. Now, the other thing is, you know, we have 3:30 buses also. They won't start until the following week. We have 3:30 buses because we have after-school programs. They're not going to start until the following week, but that means that, and it's not a lot of students, maybe 70 students.
70.
125 maximum is what you're going to find. And those are students who are regular bus students at 2:15, but 2 days a week they have after school classes. 2 days a week. So, but it would be every day. It's 5 days a week, but it's different. Students have different classes depending on what the schedule is. So because we have SAT after school, we have economics after school, art after school, sustainable studies after school, and French after school. So and we'll have math after school a little bit later on. So we have 6 different subjects for the for the 9 through 12 girls after school. So it's not the small children, it's the older girls. But still we have to provide advice for that. So we will meet later on this week concerning that. Mr. Adnan's school, he has,
It will be the same for the boys.
it's the same for the boys' school. They'll have something, so we'll meet later on this next week about that. We'll get finished with this week first,
Yes.
and then we'll talk about that.
When it will start?
It should start the following Sunday, but we're probably going to leave it until after Eid, which will be, what's the date for the Eid?
Around the 27th.
The 27th, most likely, but like I said,
27th of October.
not October.
September.
We're talking about September. So yes.
We actually, but I'll make sure, I'll have a meeting with the other directors, and I'll make sure that we all know exactly when those dates are, because we're not going to surprise you with the dates. We want you to identify which students are going to go where, which bus drivers is going to have the third, because basically that would be a third trip in a day. You might do that at rotation, however, that's your job on how you do it. But I just want to keep that in your brain. We do have one more. We have 3 trips a day on the return. Sometimes some parts of the year, not the entire year. It's just certain parts of the year. Just to keep that, and that isn't included in our contract with Emirates Transport. It's just we're not worried. We're not worried about it right now. I just want to keep it into your brain. So I guess right now what we need to do is go into the gymnasium, and we need to talk to the escorts about how they should do the seat belts for the children. If you're going to take over that part of it about the safety, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to talk to them about how they greet parents, how they talk to parents, how they communicate with us and communicate with the parents, because we had some of the escorts calling the parents directly saying, your kid is not on the bus. Call us first, you know, or where's your location, or the parent didn't come down, or whatever they do. We need to know first, because we found out about the child being on the wrong bus, not by your bus, by the parent. Or I don't know how we found out.
I think the
Escort from the other bus,
she
right?
called another escort
From the other bus, right?
from another bus who was here. Yeah.
So, I mean, it wasn't them calling us directly or you directly. It was calling someone within another bus, and the other bus calling us, or she actually came into the office and told Evelyn, and then Evelyn came and told us, this is delayed of process. We should know it immediately. So we have to get our communication tree down a little bit better on what exactly is said, what is not said, who do we contact, who we not contact, and what's the procedure. The bus driver who got off the bus, and then the assistant got off the bus, this is a problem. We cannot have bus drivers getting off the bus or stopping buses. I know he was a little bit overwhelmed, and I do not want him to work for my school. Do not send him to the boys' school either, because if he had a problem with one, he's going to have a problem with another. I don't want him to be fired, God forbid, because I don't want him to lose his job and his livelihood in his country, but he has to understand he's taking a risk with children, and that's your company and my school. And forget the company and the school. If something happened to one of those children, what about their parents? What about those children's lives? We cannot have anybody leaving the bus. They have to, if a kid is on the bus, the driver is on the bus. And I can't say that enough. Okay? Anything you want to say?
No, inshallah.
Okay, so now you're going to be the translator for us, because you know that they may understand what we're saying, but I want to make sure that they understand. And I know that you speak fluent Arabic and English, and all of our drivers and such, they speak.
They speak Arabic, Urdu, Pashto, no problem. I will.
You can do that.
Yes. More language I can speak better.
Do we have anybody? Yeah, because even the people from Nepal, they understand Urdu, so we're good. Do you have any? What are the nationalities of the bus drivers?
Drivers, Pakistani Indians.
And the escorts?
Escorts, all Filipino, one Nepali, and one Indian, one Pakistani.
Okay, so we're pretty much covered the bases. When are they going to have their uniforms? Because I talked to Mr. Khalid and Mr. Ahmed last week, and they stated that the uniforms had came in, and they would be distributed. Have they been distributed to the escorts?
Some uniform came, I think. I will just ask.
I know you have a lot on your head.
What?
Most important for me is the list, of course. But just keep it into the back of your mind. Just tell somebody in the Emirates Transport that they must have their uniforms, because that's actually part of the compliance regulations by ADIC and Department of Transportation, is that all drivers and all escorts have a uniform, and a specific uniform, as you well know, because this is from your company. But because of the numbers of buses that we got really fast, I'm sure that was the reason why everybody didn't have one. But we need to have escorts in a uniform, because they need to look presentable, because they're wearing flashy stuff and pink and green, which is fine, but that's not your uniform, and it's not the uniform of the escort. Those are the things I want to mention. If anything else, is there something that I've missed, forgotten?
No, I think that's all bases covered, I think, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then let's go ahead the meeting. I do want every driver for the boys' school to sign that they were here. Every escort for the boys' school to sign that they were here. Every escort for the girl, every driver for the girls' school to sign that they were here. Because I need documentation, you need documentation that we've actually spoken to this on this manner. Okay, just for us. And also, it's good for them to see us. I've never seen all of them. This will be the first time. Anyway, God bless. We'll go to another meeting now.
The meeting for the bus drivers and their escort has been concluded. It was a gathering. This is one of the most critical issues that this school is dealing with, especially at the beginning of the school. They have so many problems with the bus organization, the bus management, and with respect to me as an education administrator, working on my research and the practicum, it is a very important and delicate issue for me, because it greatly affects the affects the student attendance, and it has a great impact on student achievement. So if this problem is taken care of, these issues of bus timing and the safety of all the students, if it's taken care of properly, then the school will have a great year, then students will enjoy a good time, attendance will be on the max, and everybody will benefit. There was a good reflection on the bus drivers, on the escorts. Everybody is going to cooperate, and everybody is enthusiastic, and hopefully Al-Nahda National Schools will have a good kick-off for the beginning of the year, and we'll see the results later on within the year.